What's going on, guys? One, please excuse all the mess in the background. All the pieces for the gaming PC have come in and I just need to put them all together. And two, I have noticed like a drop in viewership, like a big drop. So I kind of want to ask you guys the question, are you guys getting my videos in your sub box? And if you're not, please make sure to become part of that notification squad and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there because I was all like, is nobody watching my videos? No, I gotta make sure they're doing it. Gotta ask a question. But now, let's jump into the freaking Flash. It is back after taking Valentine's Day off. Nobody cares about that freaking Valentine's Day. Nobody cares about that shit. So we didn't get no Flash last week, but we got it back this week and it is back with awesomeness because we got to go to Gorilla City and it was legit. Before we break down this episode, I just want to say that it was nice to be in a different atmosphere for once. You know, we weren't in the city anymore. We were in Gorilla City. Of course, all of that is in the jungle and whatnot. We got introduced to another classic comic book character in Solivar, which that is always fun when a new character comes to these shows. We saw multiple relationships develop in this episode, and I just want to say that Harrison Wells is a fucking damn good actor, and I know that's not his name, but I just don't have his name on, you know, on the freaking brain right now, but he's amazing. Like, I mean, this dude is constantly doing different personalities and whatnot, and we got to see him do HR in this episode, Harrison Wells, and being controlled by Grodd, which is, you know, that is a whole different ability in itself, because you got to be Grodd through Harrison Wells. I just love this actor. He's badass. And like I said, I've preached it a lot on these reviews. HR is my favorite. And it's just, I love that character. And I hope he doesn't go anywhere. But sometimes I feel like, with this episode right now, I feel like HR has just been doomed because of what happened later on in this episode. And we'll talk about it. But HR might be doomed, which kind of makes me sad. But, you know, shit happens. The episode starts off with Harrison Wells getting speared by Grodd in Gorilla City. This is the reason why freaking Jessie went to back to Earth 1 to get the Flash team, because she needed their help because she couldn't take on Grodd by herself, I should say. Of course, this gets the whole team, like, riled up, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta go see Harrison Wells. And, you know, one of my favorite parts was when Barry was talking to Malfoy, and he was all like, yo, Malfoy, I need you to freaking cover for me, because I gotta go to this other planet and save an old friend of mine because he got captured by super smart apes. And Malfoy was all like, you're going to the Planet of the Apes, aren't you? You're going to the Planet of the Apes. And then he basically makes a lie so he can go freaking take care of Caitlyn. That was his end game, but he really wanted to also go see Planet of the Apes, because, I mean, let's be real. If you had the chance to go to another world, would you not try it? I would. But seriously, he was really going there for Caitlyn. We saw that later in the episode. We got a nice little Guns N' Roses reference from Cisco when he was like, welcome to the jungle! This is the Cisco that should always be here. Pop culture reference Cisco, not salty Cisco. So please, don't ever go back to that one, because that Cisco sucks. The whole team ends up going to Gorilla City, getting caught right away, because, you know, they're super smart apes, man. Apes are gonna fuck you up. They get shot with spears and shit, or darts. And, you know, they fall asleep and they go memes. And then, you know, it comes back to Earth 1 and freaking Wally and Jessie are trying to save the day. And Wally did something that made me, like, it made me cringe, because I've done this before too. And I think a majority of guys in the world have done this. I don't know why, what's firing off in the brain, but when you like a girl, I don't know what it is that you're trying to impress her. Like, that's gonna, like, win her over or something like that. I don't know why that happens. And dudes do it all the time. They're like, what's up? And they do something like, you know, when you're little, you try to run really fast or some shit like that. I don't know what happens. But when Wally did this, and she was just like, whatever. Like, I was just like, damn it, Wally, that shit don't work, bro. We'll talk about Jelly in a minute, but jump back to Earth 2. We see our whole crew locked up in cages and they can't use their powers. And then we see the introduction of Solivar, and freaking, man, he was a beast. And if you guys haven't seen him in the comics, he was badass. If you saw the animated series like Young Justice and stuff like that, or was it Young Justice? I think it was Justice League United. You see him in there, and he's more of just like a chill, you know, ape in that one. I mean, he's crazy, he can fuck you up, but he was more kind of just like chill in the cartoon. But, you know, it's cool to see, like I said, these classic characters from older comics and whatnot. Anyways, he comes in and he's talking about how he's gonna have to fight everybody in the arena, and he punks Grodd out. He's like, bitch! And Grodd's like, ah! Before that, Grodd was talking to the whole group about how he needs their help to beat Solivar, and that, you know, Solivar wants to go and destroy Earth-1 and all of that shit, when in reality it was Grodd that wanted to do all of that, and he was just using Solivar as that, because he didn't care. Apparently Solivar was like, I don't give a fuck about you humans, but you came up into my spot, and I gotta kill you, because I gotta show you who's beast mode. Which led to him and the Flash fighting in the arena, and he punks out the Flash twice, which I really liked. I'm glad the Flash didn't actually just beat him right away with his speed. Like, Solivar was freaking using his smarts to destroy him. Like, he knew that the dust and all that shit would fuck up, you know, Flash's speed and whatnot. And what else did he do? He did like 2 things to like actually beat him, didn't he? So yeah, I don't know. He did like 2 things that outsmarted the Flash, which I thought was cool. And then Flash finally did the reverse Flash punch kind of shit and beat Solivar, which I thought was cool. He had to do something that he normally wouldn't do to actually win the fight. And then of course we get freaking Barry's victory speech of, we don't want to beat you, blah, 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 blah. We're humans and we want peace and I'm sparing your guy. Yeah, we don't care, Barry. They don't give a fuck. They're still going to attack you. And that is the point when Grodd reveals his plan, and he was talking about how he needed Barry to kill Solivar, but in reality, it didn't really matter because he was trying to take over anyway to go kill Earth-1 because that was his home and they took him away from it, so he wants revenge. And, you know, he's all like, your guys aren't going anywhere, and that is when the team comes up with a plan that Caitlyn has to kill somebody. Now, Cisco was the one like, you gotta kill me. If you kill me, you know, they ain't gonna be able to do shit. Like, they won't be able to open breaches. And, you know, this is when we start seeing that little love connection between Julian and Caitlyn. He's like, I didn't come all this way to freaking see you become a killer. And then Barry's all like, no, one of us is gonna die. And they come up with the smart plan of freezing Barry, and then he's dead, and then Grodd comes and freaking throws him in the dead body pile, because they have one of those. And then he, like, vibes himself back up, or he doesn't vibe, but he, like, shakes himself back to being warm, and bada bing, bada boom, they escape! Also, my favorite part in that area was when Harrison Wells told Julian, he was all like, Indiana. I love pop culture references! One thing that I do really appreciate about The Flash, or at least this particular episode, is they threw in little things, and I love shit like this. They closed off something that happened later in the season. Harrison Wells talked about, he was like, I knew I knew Cisco and I didn't get, you know, Barry out of that, you know, out of the mirror. Like, that was huge for me. I love shit like that. I love when people tie up loose ends and they don't just leave it there and they're not just wondering forever. Because he was talking about there's no way that we could have freaking got Barry out of the mirror. It didn't get cold enough. And then he finds out that Caitlyn has frost powers and he's all like, I fucking knew it! I love shit like that. I love when shit gets completed. And then of course at the end of the episode, when the whole team is back home and everybody's safe or whatever, we see that Grodd was talking about how he had to be one step ahead of the Flash, and they captured Gypsy. I hope they talk about how the hell they captured Gypsy, because I mean, she's a pro at what she does. She should be able to jump to whatever world she wants. I don't know how the hell Grodd caught Gypsy at all. Like, I don't know where that came from. I don't know what the hell. Like, I hope they explain that in the next episode. But at the end of the episode, we see Grodd on his fucking throne with his armor, which looked epic. And then he has this sea of other apes or gorillas with freaking body armor on, and they're just ready to go to war. And I thought that was freaking awesome. And I hope there is an all-out war on the next episode, and it's not like just 20 apes like coming out or whatever, because that would suck. But, yeah, so I'm really interested to see how the hell they caught Gypsy on the next episode. But can I just say that I'm so excited that Gypsy is back, because Gypsy is bae. Like I said, in this episode, there were multiple relationship things going on. Quickly, did you guys catch that hint at the end when Flash and Iris, you know, he was all like, oh yeah, so you actually can get some sleep tonight? And Barry was like, I don't know, that's really up to you. Because that means... that's why he's not going to sleep. Besides that relationship, we got to see the start of what we knew was coming. Was going to be Caitlyn and Malfoy. And, you know, she was talking about, she was like, don't get interested in me. Don't do that. Like, you know, it's for your own good, blah, blah, blah. He was like, I'm dangerous. And then, you know, the whole thing through the whole episode was, you know, Malfoy talking about how he lives for danger and all this stuff. That was like the underlying joke for him, although he was really looking out for Caitlyn, which is cool. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the Malfoy progression in this episode, Julian, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, but you should, because he's Malfoy. At the end, we see that nice little joking between them. He was all like, yeah, you know, the thing I love to do when I'm feeling, you know, afraid or dangerous or whatever, or scared, is I like to go have a steak and all this jazz. And, you know, and he makes a joke about it, and he's all like, I know this good place if you want to go be scared together or whatever. So, I thought that was awesome, and I liked how this is developing, but it just sucks, because, like I said, I think that maybe Caitlyn is going to end up not killing what's his name, but he might be dying, and that might push Caitlyn over the edge to kill somebody. I don't know, because she constantly just falls for people that are going to die or not be on this show for a long time. So it really sucks for that to happen with Caitlyn, and I feel like it's going to happen again, and that might push her over the edge, and that's what might make her Killer Frost. Now let's move on to Jelly, because this relationship right here is making me have a lot of ideas about what could be happening in the future of this show. We got to see HR's little speech to Jessie when she was talking about how, like, you know, she told Wally that she was hoping that they were going to be together sometime, but she's afraid because Wally seems like he's complete now, that he's the Flash, he's got his speedster powers, all that jazz. Wally's all like, girl, you know, all I need is you. But of course, ladies don't listen when guys say that, because they always think there's something else there. They can never just take our words for truth. Anyways, we get to see HR give his little love speech. He was like, you know what, I might not be the most scientific person in the world. He's like, but I know love. I'm a master of that. And, you know, he gives advice to Jessie, and Jessie starts thinking about actually staying with Wally so they can have a relationship. And this is where I think it's going to get interesting. So at the end of the episode, we freaking see Wally and Jelly. She was all like, yeah, so if my dad wakes up and I tell him that I'm gonna stay, do you think he's like, and they're like, Jelly! Jelly is finally official! I don't ever care about this stuff, but Jelly I just find awesome. I'm like, yeah, Jelly! I just love these two characters together, but like I said, shit's gonna hit the fan. Also loved when HR stepped in and he was like, oh yeah, and then he was all like, he looks over to Harrison Wells, he's like, he's gonna be pissed. Now with this Jelly relationship, I think this means that HR is doomed, and possibly Wally. Like, it's awesome, everybody's excited about this new relationship, but I think it's going to bring a lot of heartbreak, and that is something the Flash loves to do. And let me tell you why, because you know I gotta put on my detective hat and try to figure these things out. This is how I feel like it might go. So, Jessie wants to stay on Earth 1 now. She's gonna tell her dad, like, hey, I gotta stay on Earth 1, blah, 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 I wanna be with Wally, all of this jazz. Fucking Harrison Wells is not gonna stay on Earth 2 without his daughter. Even before, she was the one that wanted to go back to Earth 2. He didn't want to. He didn't care. He was like, we can just live here. He's like, we have nothing on Earth 2. He's like, we just gotta be together here. Bada bing, bada boom. That's all he wanted to do, but you know, she wanted to go back to Earth 2, so he was like, whatever, fine, let's go, whatever. So why the hell would Harrison Wells stay on Earth 2 when his daughter's gonna be living on Earth 1? And if that's the case, there is no way we're going to have Harrison Wells and HR at the same time. It's just not gonna happen. That means that something has to happen to HR, and I think it's probably that he's going to die. Although I'm hoping it's something more along the lines of, you know, a happier ending for Harrison. Maybe he's able to go back to his Earth for something and like live out there, because maybe he accomplished something elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, because, you know, Gypsy said he can never go back there, but now she's over here on this planet, and we know that they're gonna visit Earth 19 eventually. Is Harrison Wells gonna be there? We don't know. So there's gonna be a lot of things. I'm hoping there's a happier ending for him, and that like maybe he saved the universe and he's able to go back. But I don't know, for some reason, I'm leaning towards that he's gonna die, and that is gonna open the door for Harrison Wells from Earth 2 to come back to Earth 1. But everybody's all like, well, how's he gonna live there? He's gonna have to stay at Star Labs the whole time? No, because don't forget that HR has that face technology. Freaking Harrison Wells could easily just take that from him and, you know, use it for Earth 1 and be able to walk around and do whatever the hell he wants. So right now, Jessie decides to stay on Earth 1. I think this brings Harrison Wells to Earth 1 to stay with her because, you know, he wants to be with his daughter. That means HR is doomed. And if HR does die, that fits into the whole, you know, Savitar saying that someone will die, someone will betray you, someone will face the thing worse than death. That could be HR, but at the same time, I also think that it could be Joe, because remember, he's supposed to be honored for something. What if Joe sacrifices himself to save Iris or something like that. Like somebody dies, he could be the one that dies as well, and then Iris could be the one that faces the, the thing worse than death because her father dies. But I don't think she's the one that would suffer that anyways. So there's possibility. Right now, the people that I think are going to die are HR and Joe at the moment. The person that's going to betray someone might be Malfoy. He might just come back as freaking Dr. Alchemy and find the Philosopher's Stone somehow and become Alchemy again. That could be a thing. It could be a way that he betrays them because, they brought him onto the team and then he becomes a bad guy again. That would suck for them, and that could be a reason that Caitlyn goes to Killer Frost too. I don't really know. But that is just a possibility there, that he could be the one that betrays them, because I don't see Cisco doing it, and I could see Caitlyn doing that, but I feel like Caitlyn is going to, like I said, the death of Malfoy or maybe something else is going to push her over the edge. So, I mean, Caitlyn and Malfoy right now would be the two top candidates for who's going to betray this team. Which leaves us with the person that is going to suffer the fate worse than death, and I think that might actually be Wally. And some of you guys have talked about this before, and I kind of agreed with it too, because it was like, what if Wally is going to suffer the fate of the white Wally West that happens in Young Justice, where him, Flash, and who are the other one? Is it Bart Allen? Are all speeding around that thing so it doesn't explode, and Wally's not fast enough and he gets absorbed by the Speed Force. This could happen in this actual show, guys, because now with Jesse staying on Earth 1, we're gonna have 3 speedsters, and Savitar's gonna come back. What if all 3 of them have to do that move, and Wally is maybe faster than everybody else, and he goes so fast that he gets stuck in the Speed Force? That could be, a little change up, because he's not gonna be slower than Barry and Jesse. Like, that's just not gonna happen, because Flash, blah blah, Barry is already talking about how he's like, you're going to be the one to save Iris. So I am really starting to think that Wally is going to be the one that suffers a fate worse than death, and he's gonna get lost in the Speed Force. But I wonder if they're gonna do that angle of like they're forgetting everybody, because they didn't forget him in Young Justice. Although if you're reading the DC comic Rebirth shit, he actually got like lost in memory. Like nobody even remembered him anymore, and then he finally comes back somehow, which I thought was badass in the comic books. So yeah, right now I think this whole jelly relationship is causing doom for everybody else, and I think that's just what's gonna happen. I think there's no way, I don't see Harrison Wells staying on Earth 2. I feel like he's gonna come back and he's gonna help this team out again like he normally has. I personally love HR. I'd rather HR stay on the show, but I feel like something's gonna happen there and he's not gonna stay there. And then like Jesse's gonna be on here, and then we lose Wally for like half a season or something like that, and then it'll be Flash and Jesse, which will be really cool because we get to see Jesse's character more since Wally's been on every episode. So I think that is what's gonna happen right now. I think they're gonna find a way to try to save him, but right now I think he might be the one that gets lost in the Speed Force. But I want to know all of your guys' theories about what's gonna happen on The Flash. Do you think that HR is gonna die? Do you think it's Joe? Do you think it's somebody else? Who's gonna be the one that betrays the team? Is it gonna be, Caitlyn? Is it gonna be Malfoy? And who do you think is gonna be the one that suffers a fate worse than death? A lot of you guys have been talking about the Wally thing. I'm totally on board with it, so let's see what happens. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up because it totally helps out the channel. Make sure you share it with all of your Flash buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I am your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I had my daily dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bye!